Greetings, new hammer, middle hammer, and old hammer folks alike. I am Old Grumpy Wolf, aka Lennon Midnight, and welcome to the Minibar Podcast. I'll be serving you up lots of awesome painting nerdiness, talking to other painters from around the web. And tonight at the bar, we have with us Beldolor Studios, aka Ray. Hi, Ray. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Whereabouts are you in the world?
I'm near Metro Detroit, up in Michigan,
okay.
USA.
You born and raised there, or did you move there from somewhere else?
Born and raised a little bit west of Detroit in the Ann Arbor area.
Oh, okay.
Was a transplant into Ohio for 10, 12 years, and then I'm back in Michigan, so
okay.
Happy to be back.
Oh, it's actually kind of nice having somebody on from the States. The last 3 weeks, the last three guests have all been from England, so my show...
That's got to be a time jump for you.
Oh, my show, I've been starting at like 1 a.m. Now it's just like, oh, God, I can start at 6 and then have a regular evening. So I know it's a little bit later there for you, but at least
It works. I'm a night owl too. So.
Oh, okay. So to get the show started, you mentioned before the show that you're more so in kind of the Dungeons and Dragons rather than Warhammer 40K or fantasy.
Yeah.
What got you into the hobby in miniature painting?
I've always done a lot of traditional art and stuff, so I would do sculptures, I'd make dragons. As far as like the hobby aspect of it, I remember as a kid going to the game stores, and it would have been the Warhammer or Old Hammer or the pewter dragons and stuff that they had in the display case, and they were really well painted and super cool, but I was always thinking like, but that dragon's not that cool. Like it's a great paint job, and I'm impressed that they could make it, but my dragons look way cooler.
I can do way gooder.
Yeah, and so it kind of just led off into that. So I used to do a lot of traditional sculpting, and I've always painted my own work. And so I do a lot of 3D printing now,
okay,
which makes it a lot easier to make something and then not smash it up while you're working on the other side of it.
I can imagine.
Which was I don't know how much you do with like green stuff or whatever, but
amazingly enough, very little.
The frustration of getting something just right and then not paying attention and turning around and having smashed it all out, and or you have the finished thing and you drop it and then it's game over. Spent 30, 40, 50 hours on something and now it's just a smash on the floor. Yeah,
those print times can be pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Like, are they? Do you see them getting any faster? Like, how long have you? That's a question for later down the road. So let's not get too far into it. But like, how long you been playing with the 3D printers for?
I want to say since 2018.
Oh, okay. So you've been in it for a minute.
Yeah.
So like, are the resin-based printers now faster than they were? Was 8 years ago? 7 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, even when I started doing the resin printers, I got one of the original Photon ones. It's about the size of a computer screen. It's as big as it can print, and it was 2 or 3 times as slow as the printers that I have now, which are
cool.
3 or 4 times bigger.
It's neat that the speed is picked up, and I mean we'll get into 3D printers later in the show because there's a lot I want to talk to you about regarding them.
Yeah.
As you're really the first person I've had on the show who does 3D modeling and 3D printing. But so like you saw all the games, or you saw the dragons and the stuff in the hobby stores. What got you into when did you actually start painting?
I don't actually know that I could answer that because I've always been kind of like a maker and a hobbyist.
Okay.
I want to say that I got into painting miniatures around the time I got into playing D&D, and started having miniatures on the table, and it's like, oh well, I've got to paint it, and like, oh well, my friend's like, I don't paint that well, and I'm like, okay, I'll paint yours too. That whole slippery slope. So probably the early 2000s when I was in college.
Oh, okay. Is that when you started gaming as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's when I started to get a like-minded friend group who was into the tabletop and the role-playing stuff.
Okay.
Go ahead. Not a lot of Warhammer, mostly the RPGs. But
yeah. It sounds like you're about the same age as I am. Because I was in college, and I think I started college in 2001. I graduated in 2000.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah. I graduated in 2002. So.
Oh, okay. You graduated right when I got my first obsession. No, I've kind of hinted at it a little bit in our DMs to each other, but I started building 240SXs I got my first one in I think 2002. Yeah. And that stupid car ended up turning into a career for me just because of me wanting to get into drifting so long ago and building cars. And then I ended up getting into making body kits and suspension and apparel. My brand I started making apparel with.
That's awesome.
And then I moved into the body kit and suspension stuff. But yeah, so the artsy fartsy stuff of hands-on with screen printing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was always a lot of fun. But yeah, so yeah, you started college right when I bought my first obsession. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I started college in 2002 as well. I forgot 2001. That was a whole different ballgame that year.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. I went to school for engineering, and I spent most of my career before I started doing this full time as an automotive engineer. Oh, okay. So quite familiar with the whole car. Not super familiar with the whole car scene, but familiar tangentially.
So I'm assuming since you were into the car stuff and the engineering stuff, I'm assuming you have no problems like pulling your printer apart to clean it and fix it and tweak it.
Nope. I do all of my maintenance. I do all of the like taking it apart, putting it back together. I make stuff in CAD for like fixtures and jigs and
that's cool.
And stuff like that to make it easier on me when I'm making some of the models or some of the making cleanup and stuff like that easier if I want, just whatever. They're versatile.
This is going to be one of those episodes where we're just going to go off on tangents. Like the last two episodes that I did with the guys from Games Workshop, it was just I'd ask questions and it would just got to the point where it was like, screw it, we're just going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. And I found like the best episodes of doing this. That's part of the fun is just like, you know what, let's go off script and just have fun with it because how often do you get to nerd out with people like this?
Right? It's one of my favorite parts of actually getting to meet more people who are, I'd say serious, but not quite serious is the right word. And
can't be.
Get to nerd out about it and just get really excited about, the same thing or something really close or, hey, this reminds me of this. And
well, I found that this tends to be something really special in people's lives, whether it's, painting. Well, the show is really based around painting because I started it because I wanted to talk to other painters. I wanted to talk to people who are in the hobby side as opposed to like the gaming side. And when you sit down and talk with somebody about the special little thing in their life, some guys have said, I'm really boring. And then as soon as I get them on the show and start asking them questions, they just open up. And they're like, oh my God, this person's asking me about this special aspect of my life. This is so cool. So not going too far into the regular questions because I came up with a good 7 or 8 questions specifically for you. Did you get into the hobby specifically because of gaming or painting?
Definitely painting. Gaming kind of introduced me to it, but I've always liked painting. Mm-hmm. And painting things is definitely what got me in deeper.
Okay.
I paint a lot more stuff now than I don't actually play any campaigns that use miniatures or anything right now. I just make them and then paint them, and I actually don't even paint a lot of other people's stuff anymore because I have such a big backlog of my own things.
Yeah, I've seen your painting on your website. You're quite good. I like your realistic or your realism that you bring to your miniatures, and like we're gonna get into him later because I really want to talk about him. But like the way you painted up your frog pope, I was looking for painted examples before I really got into mine, and saw yours on the website, and I really really liked your palette of colors and the way you utilized everything and the way that you really tried to stick to like a sense of realism with them, which is something not a lot of people. Some people do, but not a lot of people do it.
Yeah, I go back and forth about it because I'm one of those people that is always looking at like, oh, this person does something that I like looking at really, mm-hmm. really well. And then comparison, the thief of something or whatever. But like the vibrant neons and stuff like that are super compelling to me. But when I start to paint things, I have a lot of realism focus.
Yeah.
I draw a lot on, especially with my animal miniatures, I draw a lot on the actual animal they're based on. And it's a little bit harder for me in that regard. And so it's really exciting to see other people's take on my miniatures. because they have a totally different palette
Yeah.
and a totally different take on them. But a lot of them, yeah, like you were saying, I have a lot of people also come back to the original art and try and be like, okay, what were they doing with that, and try and kind of come up with something similar.
So we're getting in kind of the topic of painting about your with your miniatures. When you paint, what kind of paints do you use?
I use a little bit of everything. It's I've got a bunch of Army Painter. I've got Pro Acryl. I've got a handful of other ones that I've picked up here and there. Some of the I'm actually looking at it, trying to figure out what I've got. The Citadel contrast paints.
Oh, okay.
Kind of. I started out actually with the craft paints from like Michaels, just the bottles. The like, I think they used to be like $2 or $3. I don't know what they are these days. But I started out with those, and it gets you there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just whatever looks right, and it tends to be a lot of blues and greens, it turns out. But
That's not a bad thing.
I'm a goblin when it comes to paint. It's good that I have enough now that I can restrain myself, but every now and then there's like, no, that one's too good. I gotta have it.
Have you tried out too thin coats?
I have, yeah. I actually have a bunch of those that I got from Bob and Ian, and I use those for a while. I like those ones too. I'm kind of used to the Pro Acryl,
Yeah.
So I'm more familiar with what color is going to come out of the bottle. Otherwise, I'll just grab some stuff and run with it. Because if I put stuff away, then I don't remember which colors I used. I'm not one of those, has a cool rack of paints all nicely organized by the rainbow color and writes down what they use. I just kind of grab stuff and forget which one it was.
You sound a little bit like me and how I paint. I think I've got like 50 or 60 colors that I have as my whole collection. Some of them never get used, but like I've got Pro Acryl, I've got a little bit of Citadel, Vallejo Model Color, AK, a couple of too thin coats. I'm just a huge Pro Acryl fan.
Yeah.
And right now I'm just kind of switching everything to Pro Acryl and AK because they dry with a similar finish, but AK dries a lot faster than Pro Acryl, which is sometimes it's sometimes a bless and a cursing. So, we were talking earlier about the Grimnar that I'm doing and like figuring out his wolf pelt again. I sent you the Layman Rust that I did last September. I'm like sitting there painting last night. I'm like, none of this, I don't like this. I got to redo all this. And so I started working on it, trying to make it look like my Layman Rust. And I'm like, I forgot how I even did this.
Yes.
So sticking to a limited color palette versus having, 200 or 300 colors tends to help figuring things out because it's like, oh crap. I have to start from scratch.
Yeah. Even if I manage to remember which one is the right color, sometimes I won't remember how I layered things.
Yeah.
And so I struggle with, I'll paint areas as opposed to like a whole base coat and then the whole next layers and stuff like that. So I'll have half of a model painted and then I'll set it down for months and I'll come back and I'm just like, crap. I don't know what I was doing.
Just paint the whole front of the model first and then paint the back. Because nobody looks at the back.
Yeah. Yeah, I will confess for some of my demo pieces, I don't paint the back.
Oh, funny enough, since you said that, and talking to the two guys from Games Workshop, they were both telling me that on like certain miniatures, like sometimes they had to rush them out for photography and they just didn't paint the backs of the models back in the 90s.
Oh, good, it's not just me.
But like in the later 90s when they started showing the backs of the models, the heavy metal team was like, oh crap, we have to start painting the back of them or we got to go take the old ones and paint the backs of them now. So yeah, not just you. People think I'm like psychotic for like I paint every single thing on the miniature because like I do a lot of, I don't mind people picking my stuff up and looking at it, but I always in my head I'm like I want to paint everything so that way no matter what angle the model's looked at, everything looks the way it should.
Yeah.
And
if you don't, you'll still know it's not done.
Yeah, and
no one else may ever notice, but you'll know.
my old boss he's still a good buddy of mine. He was telling me at his house that he had before the current one. He's like, yeah, I did this like really cool, pattern tile thing in my bathroom, and then the 4 tiles in front of the toilet right by the door, I just kind of half-assed it, and I didn't do them like the rest of the tiles. So every time I sat on the toilet, I had to stare at those 4 tiles, and I just hated my life. So he knew.
Yeah.
Well, going into more questions that I came up with that are geared for you. To start out, where did you come up with the name Beldolor?
It's really cringe. It's my old username from forever, like I don't know, high school or something like that.
That's awesome.
And it's one of those super angsty edgelord kind of names where it's like, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna smash some Latin words together and I'm gonna be so cool. And obviously it's just some Latin words smashed together, so it's not directly translated, but teenage me was like, oh, beauty suffering just sounds like such a cool name, so I'm gonna go with that.
It's so deep.
I'm so cool, I'm so edgy, and yeah, it's stuck with me. I've never been able to come up with another name. Like I've tried, when I started the business, I tried coming up with something that was different, and I never was able to settle on anything. Which is cool because I get to bring that part of my identity along with me. Yeah. It's not as cool when you find out like, oh, hey, your brand name should be something that's easy to recognize, pronounce, and spell. Which
Firestorm Games.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't live on Monster Energy drinks. I'm gonna go come up with something different. So it's a teenage thing that just kind of rolled over. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
The funny thing, that the brand that I run for the car stuff, it was a nickname somebody gave me back in 2004. So, and it's been with me ever since. So that was 21 years ago. Ugh.
Yeah.
I hate it so
Some
bad.
things you just can't let go of, or they won't let go of you.
Well, I lucked out with OldGrumpyWolf. So like you grew up in the 90s with me. So like I wanted a name that like I could break down to just the first letters of the whatever I came up with. And originally it was going to be Grumpy Old Wolf, and I mean that's too like fairy tale sounding, but I switched the grumpy and the old, and I was like, OGW, woo woo. Oh, kids born after 2000 will not get that. But I lucked out with OldGrumpyWolf because like no one had registered it on Gmail, no one had registered it on YouTube, no one registered it on Instagram. I'm like, okay, I'm taking it, I'm going with it.
Yeah, I think the only one I wasn't able to get was, I want to say Twitter, I think, or X now, I guess. That was the only one I wasn't able to get my Beldolor handle on, and I'm not sure why, but somebody actually already had it, and they never posted or anything. It was just a squatter account or something.
Oh, we can go find him and bring some blunt objects with us, and they can give it up. So are you only like where am I going with this? So like are you on Reddit or outside of Instagram and Twitter? Like what else are you on?
I've put some things on Reddit, and I stopped using Twitter. I mostly do Instagram now because it's a little bit hard for me to follow too many social medias at once. Yeah. And then I have my website, and a lot of the rest of it's just kind of connecting with people in person. I do I table at a bunch of conventions and stuff like that. So Instagram's been my easiest and most reliable way of sharing my stuff outside of
that seems to be like the central hub kind of for the miniature community as a whole.
Yeah.
It just seems to fit exactly what the community needs.
Yeah, because it's nice and artsy, and it's got some cool connections that you can go, I get to see what other people are liking, and it starts to pull into my feed and stuff like that. And I've kind of got it curated all around. I mean, it's a visual models, and it's a visual medium anyway. So yes,
that's when Instagram started. I mean, that was pretty much what it was for, and now it's just turned into like Insta Talk.
Yeah.
But I mean, like at least you can, not only you can post photographs of your stuff, but you can do videos, and it's just kind of a neat central little hub. Facebook is okay for it, but I think it's just Facebook's.
I'm both too young and too old for Facebook, I think.
I used it primarily because of my business. I got into it like 2009, but I used it for a long time with my business, and the groups on there for miniature stuff they're still pretty good.
There's a bunch of groups. I just have a hard time navigating Facebook itself without just like finding myself drowned out in ads and pages I don't think I'm actually following.
Yeah. I remember when they made that switch on Facebook, when they started like adding stuff that you weren't subscribed, showing you stuff you weren't subscribed to, and groups and different pages and stuff, and then the advertising came in. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. It's you go through it and you're like, oh, I've been looking at ads for 3 minutes straight now. I haven't even actually seen any real content.
Dude, I follow like 450 people on Instagram. All of them are painters. I'm gonna say like 50 of them are just like the fun meme stuff that my gal and I trade back and forth, like Kenny GIFs, which are just amazing. But let's say 400 painters. And it's like, I'll scroll for like a couple of minutes, painted stuff, ad, painted stuff. And then it'll just start showing me crap that I'm not subscribed to or following. Yeah. And it's like, I'm following 400 people who paint. This is a mathematical impossibility that you cannot show me a constant stream of an hour of stuff that people have painted.
Yeah. Yep.
You're gonna load a bunch of crap in there you want me to go look at that has nothing to do with miniatures or cute little love gifts I can send my gal or cats. Really?
Now we have other things we need you to look at. It's more important.
Yeah, right. It's like, no, thank you.
I have a quick question. Do you mind if I flip my iPad over? Because I'm looking at you, so I'm like staring off into space on the camera, and I want to put the camera on the side you're at.
Is it going to stay landscape?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. There we go.
That work?
Sure. Yeah, now you're back to landscape.
All right.
Cool. Moving on. With what you do, what got you into designing and 3D sculpting your own miniatures?
So would have been like 2017, 2018. A friend of mine got HTC Vive, the VR headset, one of the original ones. Mm-hmm. And one of the launch titles for the Vive on Google was Tilt Brush. And I got into playing that, and it's like an immersive drawing app where you can it's really cool because it's got like sparkles and neon stuff, and you can make all these cool things. And there's a ton of people who've made some really, really cool stuff with Tilt Brush. But the other one was Medium, is a sculpting program. And once I started trying that, because I'd tried to get into like ZBrush, I'd gotten some demo versions of that, or trying to get into Blender, back when that was a whole entire nightmare. Never really worked out. I kind of feel claustrophobic in 2D modeling. So with a VR headset, it's like night and day. It's suddenly I can sculpt like I used to with clay and traditional art, and get that zoom in, zoom out. And I'm kind of talking about that before, where with the digital media, it's really easy to like make something the size of a house and like start carving in all of these details that then when you print it out at this big, you're never ever going to actually see them. But yeah, it was the VR headset really changed the game for me, and made it so much easier to bring so many of my ideas, like even into just sketches. I have so much stuff that I haven't refined to be able to make it print. And it was the same guy that I bought my first 3D printer off of. Okay. And it was an older, kind of jankier FDM, the kind with the filament. And I figured out how to print miniatures on that. And so I made some stuff up in VR, and I barely cleaned it up, because this is before I learned how to do like all the post-processing and use Blender at all, and threw it over into the printer, and it came out, and I'm like, I have made this thing. I have now made the thing that I saw in my mind, and I have it, and I can make more. And that's where it came from, is like I've always made these things and had these ideas. I do a lot of drawing, and then being able to do the 3D comfortably without feeling like trying to do CAD or something, and making it come out organic. That was I dare say life-changing for me. Do you still model in VR? Yep, I did.
Oh, that's really cool.
cross my fingers that they never actually like get rid of it, because it's kind of abandonware. Adobe bought the program and then incorporated it into their Substance line. But they still have the free one out there. I still use that one. That's 10 years old now, and I do most of my sketching and blocking out in VR. Okay. And then things have gotten more complicated. I'll take it out of VR and then I put it on my iPad and do the details, and then I take it to my computer and I use Blender and I get it cleaned up and ready to go.
So I actually had no idea that they had VR capable sculpting.
It's even the old one, it's really capable, and the newer ones that I'm just too stodgy to learn and mostly too stingy to pay for. Yeah. They're really capable, and it's a totally different immersive kind of experience.
Yeah, I saw.
Not to sound like a shill for VR, but it's
0 days since mentioning. Louise from Rogue Hobbies did a episode. I was in the last couple of months about. She bought a new iPad for Christmas and got a sculpting app with it, and she's modeling in 3D now. And like the whole episode was about the whole experience for her, going from doing a week's worth of tutorials and like winding up sculpting her own thing, to having her boyfriend Rob print it out, to her like realizing like, oh, I need to make the details way deeper, and then painting stuff. And I've talked about this on the show before, but I'm sitting there, my gal and I are watching it, and I was completely blown away by how easy 3D has gotten, like for modeling versus like I got into using, I started out in the 90s using TrueSpace, and then I got into Strata 3D, and then I got into Lightwave, and Lightwave I still use on and off. I'll open it like every, year or two, because I need to make something in 3D really quick. But seeing what she was doing in whatever program that she was working with on her iPad versus, the hell that I have to go through in Lightwave to make something. I'm like, are you kidding me? It is so easy now. It's like sculpting clay. This is so amazing. So I've thought about getting into Blender or ZBrush because they both have the sculpting capabilities. And I guess that sculpting thing is now kind of a standard in a lot of software. Yeah. But
Blender's definitely come a lot further than it was. I actually enjoy using it. I remember when I first tried to use it in college, I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to do this thing. And I opened it up and I played with it for like 10 minutes. I couldn't figure out how to make anything spin or line up to the screen. And I'm like, nope, this isn't for me. No, thank you.
That's how I felt about 3D Studio Max.
Yeah.
I was forced to use that in college. I'm like, I hate this program. I hate it. It takes me 10 times longer to do what I could do in Lightwave.
Yeah. And the one on the iPad, though, is great because you can just take it wherever. I don't have to be tethered to my computer to use my tablet or whatever. I can just take the iPad and go wherever I want. And
do you are you using a stylus with it?
Yeah, I have the Apple Pencil.
Oh, okay.
Not to be, a shill for Apple too, but
it doesn't matter. I mean, your tools are your tools.
Yeah, it's great because I used to use when I first started, I used the Wacom, their original digitizers that didn't have a screen. They were just relying on the grid. Basically, it's a pen instead of a mouse. Yeah, and so getting to watch the evolution of all of that from here's this kind of pad that you use a pen on, and now there's a screen, and now I can take it wherever I want to go. It's been, even just for my traditional 2D art that's not my modeling or my painting, it's fun too because I'm getting sidetracked.
No, keep going.
The Nomad Sculpt on the iPad is the one that I use, and you can paint in it too. Oh, okay. So some of my models that I want to post like demo pictures of, I'll paint them in the app instead of like having printed them out and paint them and stuff like that. And it kind of feels a little bit like cheating, but makes it look a little bit less like a render and a little bit more like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
I've always had a hard time with tablets. One, because it doesn't matter if it's Android or iOS. It's just the operating system is so, to me, it's so limited. I'm so used to using like Windows or Mac OS. Yeah. Where it's a full desktop environment. And two, like just how small the screen is versus like I'm sitting here staring at a 32-inch Dell monitor. So I'm used to like my nice big screen where I have tons of space to work. It's always like just, having that iPad that's only 12 inches big, or a tablet that's only 12 inches big, it's like, no, I mean, my drawing tablets were usually like 9x11 or 9x14, so
yeah,
used to have that nice big area.
I think my first one was probably like only that big, and yeah, like even like with my first printer, it's like there's cell phones bigger than that now.
Oh yeah. No, it's amazing how far technology's come over the last 25 years. There was a meme that I saw. I sent it to my gal. She thought it was funny. She does a lot of like event planning and show production, so she's usually glued to some kind of screen. But it was a meme that said it was a guy. It was sort of like a 1994 catalog, and he's got like a big old VHS recorder, and he's like got headphones on and a Walkman, and there's like a Game Boy, and then like every electronic gizmo, like portable gizmo at the time, and it says everything in this picture is now inside your cell phone.
Yes.
It's just like, oh, dude.
Call me out.
I kind of miss the days of having your cell phone and then your digital camera and your desktop and a laptop and all the separated devices.
I'm constantly impressed that my iPad, especially with the 3D modeling, outperforms my desktop computer, and my desktop computer is old, but it's not terribly shabby.
Yeah. No, I built a new desktop a couple of years ago, and I didn't build it for gaming. I built it for my workstation purposes specifically. Yeah. And it just so happens that like everything in gaming now aligns with what hardware I used. I mean, I don't game too much, but what took my old PC 45 minutes to render now takes my current PC 3 to 5 minutes to render.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was worth the money. And that's I told my gal's kid, him and I were busting each other's balls about computer stuff the other night. And I was like, I know you want like this brand new hardware. I mean, we just built you a brand new computer last summer for your 16th birthday, but it's like, dude, like wait like 5 to 7 years before you ever decide to build another computer. That way you're not like you can go like one generation back in hardware and save and spend half the price. And because you've waited 5 to 7 years, that one generation behind in hardware will seem light years beyond what you've used for 5 to 7 years. Yeah. Yep. And I'm sure it's probably like that with the iPads. And it's going to turn out not to be
compatible anyway. You try and future-proof yourself in 5 or 6 years. I can't use that. That happened to me. What did I need to replace? I don't remember what it was, but I had to replace one thing, and it turned into a whole new computer because it was like the processor or something. And it's like, well, processors now don't fit your motherboard, and it's like, okay, nope. Now your power supply isn't big enough, so you got to get a new one of those. And I think in the end, I got to keep my DVD drive and my case.
Oh, you're like me. You're one of the very few people that still has an optical drive. It's like, you want to get rid of your DVD drive? No.
No, I gotta burn mixtapes. Mixed discs.
Well, I still watch DVDs. I mean, I got a whole shelf full downstairs, plus a Tupperware box full, and it's like, I don't want to spend $4 on YouTube to buy it again. I'm just gonna go downstairs, dig for 5 minutes, slap it on my computer, and watch it.
Yeah, and there's been a bunch of times that just having the DVDs, they take stuff off streaming so often that like, where are you ever gonna see it again? Yeah. Like you can't even rent it sometimes.
Did you ever watch Raised by Wolves?
That's actually one of the ones where
I bought it. I bought it on YouTube,
and it's gone now.
Well, I bought it on YouTube. I can still access it.
Oh, good.
Because if you purchased it, like you can't buy it on YouTube anymore, but if you purchased it, you can still access it. So
it was such a good show. I'm so sad that they didn't go further with it.
Yeah, I'm still butthurt that they didn't finish it. It's like you could have just done one more season and just stopped the show, but no, you just leave it on 2 cliffhangers. Like not one, but 2 cliffhangers in the last episode. It's like my gal and I watched it. She's like, I really like this show. I'm like, you're really not gonna like the last episode. We get done with the last episode. She's like, what the hell?
Yeah, you can't convince me it's not part of the alien universe.
There's a massive debate about that. Like the debate is Blade Runner, Raised by Wolves, and Aliens are all the same universe. Like it is actually confirmed that Blade Runner is part of the Aliens universe.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
It was something that came. It was in the second movie that there was like some direct nod to aliens in it. I forgot what it was, but it's like.
Sick.
Yeah, it's in the same universe. And then they released the new Predator teaser trailer last night, and it's got as a Easter egg, and it's got a skull from one of the Independence Day aliens hanging on the Predator's wall.
Oh, nice.
Everybody's like, "Oh, Independence Day is now part of the Aliens universe."
It's all coming together.
Yes. Okay, so we covered what got you into designing and 3D sculpting. You've answered some of it, but what software and hardware do you use to sculpt and print with?
Yes, like I was saying earlier, I use VR to do a lot of my sketching and like my bulk out work. I don't really work that well with the primitives of here's a circle and drag it into an entire creature.
Yeah.
And so I'll do the stuff in VR, and then I'll take it over to Nomad Sculpt and work on that on my iPad to get it cleaned up, get it textured, get it posed. And then from there, I take it over to Blender so I can get it what they call watertight, so that it's not got a whole bunch of extra geometry inside of it that's going to cause holes or get the resin trapped, and then you have pockets of goo inside of your minis. And then after it goes out of Blender, I have resin printers, and so I'll send them over to the slicer for that, do all of the work to get it supported on the little scaffoldings and stuff, and then print it out.
So does the rip that handles the STLs, like for the scaffolding stuff, can you assign where all that stuff goes for when it builds on the platter?
Yeah, so that's one of the other things, kind of like painting my own stuff, because I print my own stuff and I do my own supports. You orient everything so that you can get the best detail on like the high focus parts.
Yeah.
So if you've got some really toothy creature and you want to emphasize the teeth, you want to have those print without a whole bunch of like pock marks or whatever on it. So you want to orient it a certain way so that it prints on the plate appropriately. That might make something else hard or make some other shape look worse, but then I can take it back to Blender, smooth it out so I don't need a support there or something like that, and then send it back to the slicer and kind of go back and forth to get a design that's kind of designed to be printed rather than just something that's designed and being printed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've always been kind of fascinated with how the rips for STLs like will auto build the all the support structure for the model itself, but also like that you can tweak where you want all that stuff. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't use any of the auto generated stuff. I do it all manually.
Oh, that's cool.
That way I can place the right sizes, because I kind of have an idea of like the forces and what's going to be needed to peel it up off the clear plastic at the bottom of the tray. Yeah. And but also to try and like, it's easier to hide the support scars on like bumps and dimples on creatures rather than on like somebody's face. Yeah. And so sometimes the auto supports will give you something kind of weird that doesn't print out as well as if you kind of gone in there and thought about it for a couple seconds.
One thing that I've been curious about with 3D printers, like if like, let's say just ease of thought, let's say your platter size is 8.5 by 11. I'm assuming that it's going to take a lot longer to print out 5 models on an 8.5 by 11 platter than it is just to print 1.
So if you were printing with the filament style printers, that would be true. With the resin printers, what I really like about them and what's super cool is it's basically cross sections. I think it's actually saved as black and white photos more or less inside the slice file. So your time is based on how long you have to have the light on to cure the resin. Yeah. And how high you're printing it. So you can when I print models for paint and takes or for selling at the shows or whatever, I'll load up the whole plate. I'll put 30 to 50 models on one plate, and it takes the same amount of time as printing one of the same model. Yeah. Oh, that's actually kind of interesting. Yeah. So it's what really makes it kind of viable for a small production like I do, where I can get a decent amount that I have a good number of them, or if I'm trying to print out a whole bunch of different things, I can put them all together and I'm not, it's 3 hours for this one, it's 3 hours for that one. I can just put them all together and it's 3 hours for everything. That's pretty damn cool. Yeah. Like all what you did you for use my words for LVO, did you print all was that extra stock you had, or did you print everything specifically for LVO
for tooth?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I do print stuff for paint and takes and community events and stuff like that. And I'm actually getting into ones that have integrated bases, because I know I think the original, probably LVO, they didn't have bases. I don't know if they got glued onto them or not.
No, the frog pope that I got, and the snail paladin, or the snail one that my gal got, they both had bases on them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that was something I started doing for the paint and take. Gosh, it's still something that I can't figure out what I want to do, as far as, do they come with bases? Do they not come with bases? Do people want to paint minis and base them themselves, or do they want to just be ready?
I was so angry at you when I was trying to paint underneath, like get the underside of the frog pope coated, like where his, the little legs are and shit. I'm just cramming a brush in there going, grrr!
You'll be happy to know that the latest iteration of the paint and take frog pope, I have dragged his butt into the base. So
the cloth actually hits the base?
Yeah, so the little frog is sitting on the base now, as opposed to having that like little 1 millimeter gap that you can't shove a paintbrush into. It was getting super glue into there to get the flock underneath him. That was the hardest part. Sitting there with my X-Acto going, come on, get under there, get under there. Don't try. Yeah, that's something I've been kind of torn on as I design stuff. It's like, do people want bases? Do people want to do their own thing? I don't know what the people want. I just want to give the people what they want.
The only request that I have with your bases is make them slightly thicker. Like maybe, I don't know if you remember how thick you made the base for the what you printed for LVO, but if you can do that, like, I don't know, like double the thickness, and include an inset circle in the center. Like the best way you can do it, go to your local hobby store if they sell it. Get the Army Painter magnets. No, inverted. Or make that okay. So you've got one dot there. Is that hollow in the center?
This is the bottom. So on the top, it's got a hole.
Oh, okay. So that's not hollow.
So it wouldn't have this part. It would just be.
Yeah, that would be hollow.
Saying? Yeah.
And so that way, like, go get the Army Painter magnets. Take the biggest magnet they have, and model that thickness in a circle into the base, so you can take a dab of super glue, put it in the hole, and stick the magnet in there.
Oh, I like that.
Because on yours, on the frog pope on my base, you can actually take him off. He's got a magnet on the underside of him. I had to be really careful with the Dremel tool when I was making a hole for the magnet, that I didn't go all the way through the base.
Gosh, I'm gonna have to remind me of that. I'll have to look into what size those are, because I buy random sized magnets for different projects, and I don't know, like, I'm assuming there's a standard size.
No, there's like two. Army Painter, I guess, is the most common two sizes out there, because it's an off the shelf thing that you can buy from them. So I in my own miniatures, I like to use the bigger magnets, just the wide. I think they're the same thickness, but they're just wider. They have like small ones and big ones, and I think the small ones for me just don't give enough grab for the plinths that I build.
Yeah.
So I can do that after the show. I've got some hanging around on my desk.
Cool.
But I guess that size is actually like one of the most common sizes. I need to find out what size it is, just so I can buy them off Amazon for like 1,000 of them for like $10.
Yeah.
Because I never use a small one, so I've got like 100 small ones, and like I think I've got 15 big ones right now. And when I do more of your minis, I want to put them on plinths, like, so that they're removable from the plinth, but they live on the plinth in a case.
I really like getting to see, the more I've been getting involved with sponsoring the paint and takes and stuff like that, and then getting to see like the competition people and how they do that stuff, like with the plinth, and then like the decorative base that's incorporated, and then you take them. It's super cool to me.
Yeah, that's gotta be
more reasons for side quests.
That's really got to be interesting, like seeing you being the designer, seeing what other people do with your models, especially since you paint as well. Is that like your frog pope versus my frog pope are two completely different things?
Yeah, it's been super fun to get to see different people's takes on, especially frog pope, because he's my little mascot guy at this point. Different colors, different paint schemes. Some of them are, really loud, and some of them are more natural. And I had one that they went in and used a tiny little bit of, I don't know if it was super glue or green stuff or something, and made little whiskers on the fish to make it a koi.
Oh, that's cool.
It's super duper cool.
So while we're on the subject, I'm just gonna. One of the questions was, where is it? Tell me about the Frog Pope. How did he become your mascot?
So he was my second Kickstarter. Where he came from was, I was trying to do a sketch a day kind of challenge thing for myself to like just keep sketching, and I would get suggestions from friends. And so I was getting a whole bunch of like, okay, do a warlock sheep, or do a, I think it was a cleric frog or something like that. So the first version of Frog Pope was just the rain frog with like a little cleric's necklace. And then I was like, oh, where's this? Maybe he's he's got fancier clothes or something, or he's like a bullywug and he steals the clothes. And then, but maybe he leads a cult. And he needs a fancy hat. And it's like, well, what if the hat, like, what if we dig into some of the, gosh, what would you call it? It's not real lore. It's the fake stuff. But the conspiracy theory kind of lore of the Church of Dagon or whatever, the fish god or something. I don't know if it's even like, it might be Cthulhu or something like that. Kind of the reference to the Pope's mitre is this fish head. I was like, oh, well, I like that, but what if it was the whole fish? Why stop at the head? And so he just kind of evolved from a whole bunch of different what ifs. And he was my second Kickstarter, and he was the most popular one. And everybody's like, I love the Frog Pope. And he's been my bestseller. He's been to a bunch of paint and takes around the country. He shows up. I've had people show up at my tables, and they're like, oh, I supported your Kickstarter. Oh, I bought Frog Pope on Etsy. And so he basically just worked himself into being my mascot, just out of his own sheer will, I think.
When I sat down at Two Thin Coats to test their paints out a little bit more, it was on the Friday because my gal was with me. I was digging through the paint and takes they had there, and I saw the Frog Pope. I'm like, this little guy's cool. And my gal's like, oh my God, he's adorable. You're painting that for me. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm painting it for you. So,
have you seen the video of the desert rain frog? It's check it out after the show. It's this little frog. They look kind of like a little potato with little nubby little legs, and their call sounds like a dog's squeaky toy.
Oh God!
And so Frog Pope's actually based on the rain frog.
Oh, okay.
And so I also imagine that's what his voice sounds like, is this little dog squeaky toy voice as he's, leading his cult.
I actually got to do a voiceover for something. There's a Star Trek comic called, it's a page on Facebook and Instagram, I think, called Dominion Media Television, or Dominion Media TV. And it's all like fictional characters. Like, there's my favorite skit is Car Talk with Martok. And my favorite character from the series, his name's Nippins, and Nippins is like always high on catnip. And the guy who does the comic, he did Car Talk with Martok, where Nippins calls in. And it's like Martok's like, you're on Car Talk with Martok. Something's wrong with my car. I forgot the lines, but I ended up creating the voice for Nippins. I just did it based on like this silly little treatment of, I just wanted to do Nippins' voice because I just started talking like Nippins, or in my head, I finally vocalized it, and I did a voice where he's just like, and then he has this catchphrase of, oh my God, it's the Berg, not the Borg, the Berg. And so he's like, oh my God, it's the Berg, oh crap. And then he runs away. And, at the same time, that was like I think like a day or two after I made that, and I sent it to Dominion Media Television. I thought it was hilarious. He came out with the Car Talk with Martok with Nippins, and I created an animated comic of it and sent it over to him. And he's like, dude, this is the greatest thing ever. He's like, this is exactly how I pictured Nippins sounding in my head. I forgot we were going with that, but the Frog Pope. One thing. yeah, your voice for the frog pope. I'm the frog pope.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah.
That's how I talk for my cat. But yeah, there was I want to get my I'd love one or a couple of them actually. You actually made a sticker for the car for the car talk for the frog pope.
Yeah, for the Kickstarter, we made a sticker, and I also made pins with the same sticker design because
I think I've seen the pin on your Instagram.
Yeah, I like to get into too many different things, so I was like, oh, this is the opportunity to make stickers and pins and a bunch of frog pope paraphernalia and.
Oh, dude, you got to send me the artwork for that. I can make like I can do some shirts for you with the frog pope on it.
That'd be sick.
Yeah. Be like
Yeah,
I don't know if you're gonna do another like Kickstarter thing, or if like buy $100 worth of my miniatures and get a free frog pope shirt.
Yeah, I've thought about doing shirts, but I have no idea how to manage inventory for all the different sizes and stuff like that.
It's not difficult. I can help you with that. We can talk about it after the show.
That'd be sweet.
But yeah, it's the amount of like people when I posted the frog pope, like when I was working on him and when I finished him, everybody's like, oh my God, I want that miniature. I sent like, I think like good 50 to 100 people your way. The majority of them, unfortunately, were in the UK, and they're like, oh, we can't deal with the shipping price. It's too expensive.
Yeah, it really sucks how much they charge for international shipping. I wish I could find a way that didn't cost so much, because I don't blame them. It's unreasonable if you're buying just a little guy and it costs you $30 to get him or whatever. Yeah, I've always been kind of really frustrating for me as a vendor to not be able to
send out,
have affordable shipping and stuff like that because I don't have any control over it.
Yeah, with like the small parts that I ship out of the country, I'll always use priority bubble mailers, and like Europe and Australia, I think it's always $45 flat.
Yeah, but
at the same time, it's USPS priority mail, so there's always a tracking number, and it's guaranteed to arrive within 10 business days.
I just tell myself that it's one of the most flattering compliments is if somebody's willing to pay $15 to $30 in shipping for just like one little guy. That, man, they must love him. And
I want to buy one off you, like the 40 millimeter or the biggest scale you print, because I want to go like full ham on getting super textury with them.
Oh, you've got one, don't you? The biggest one I print is about this big.
Dude. Okay, maybe not that big.
I spray paint those black, and then I use the gold rub and buff to make them look like golden idols.
Hey, if you ever host a painting competition, you could print 3 of them out and do it as like gold,
trophy.
Silver, and bronze. Oh, that'd be an amazing. That like make them on a little placard that says like like 3rd place, 2nd place, 1st place, blessed by the frog pope himself.
I love that. I'm sponsoring a paint and take at Gen Con. I think it's in, I want to say Chicago. And so we're doing they're letting me do a category of the best of Beldolor Studios. And that would have been a cool idea to have before I sent all those minis off.
Is it already happening trophy. Or?
Huh?
Is the show already happened or?
No, I probably still have time. I can talk to the people running the paint and take. I might do that. I want to say it's in June or July. So.
Oh yeah! Hell yeah! I'd say talk to him and make the little trophies. That'd be a great little thing to have. Pop up on Instagram.
God, I love every now and then like he just shows up in my tags and it's like, oh my God, it's another frog pope. It's always sometimes the snails show up. There are a number of people who paint the snails, but it's almost always frog pope.
You mentioned earlier you didn't sculpt them, but that little moth guy that you have, I saw that. I was like, I want that. Yeah. Now.
He's so cute.
It's kind of I don't know why it reminds me of something out of The Tick.
Yes. Like
he'd be like Arthur's little pet or something. Oh God, we're really dating ourselves in this episode. Half the viewers are going to be like, what are they even talking about? Okay, so rolling on to the next one. This is a good one. What is it like having your own booth and product line in the miniature world and like events?
It's actually been super awesome. I still get really anxious about it, and I go into it thinking that I'm a talentless hack. And then I spend an entire weekend of what I like to call compliment immersion therapy.
That does help, doesn't it?
Where I get the luxury of hiding behind my table when it gets really crowded, and then the people come to me and tell me that I'm wonderful, and that the things that I make are amazing, and that they love Frog Pope. And so it's been one of the more it's been stressful, like the doing and like the setting up of everything, and like learning the ins and outs of the shows and the communities and stuff like that. But it's been amazing. It's been such a cool experience getting to meet other creators, getting to meet the other people, running booths, or like the people with the paint brands, the people with the award-winning painters and stuff like that, or getting to meet people like you, and just getting to meet people that are like-minded and into the same weird kind of stuff that you don't always get to hang out with those kind of people, because how do you find them without them showing up and saying I love Frog Pope.
I was amazed at the LVO experience. I wasn't a vendor. I just went to enter the painting competition, and I spent the whole time in the vendors area for the most part, because I don't game. And like you said, like finding a bunch of like-minded people, it was just such a neat experience that you get to spend a weekend just completely in nerd mode.
Yep.
And you get to talk about.
It's been so much fun getting to do it from behind the table, because I've attended a few conventions just as a guest, and it's really also fun, but it's a different kind of fun than kind of being like there, and then you're meeting people, and you get to see the same people every day, and like, oh man, I'm getting friends, and I see you at the next show, and now we're picking out spots to hang out next to each other and stuff like that, or getting to go to painting classes and getting to know people and stuff like that. It's been super cool, and kind of a little bit of the meet your heroes kind of thing, where it's like, going into it and not being a particularly social part of the community, and kind of, having not been into it super long. But finding out so many people are really supportive and encouraging, and not nearly as negative or gatekeepy as I was always kind of worried that people would be, and kind of, my anxiety, like, oh, they're going to come up to your table and call you a talentless hack to your face and then walk off, and it's never happened.
Yeah. I just got to thinking, like, the last time I had a booth at an event was, I think 2012 Formula Drift here in Vegas. And I set up my booth for my brand Dorky Dory on Friday and Saturday. That's how long the event was. They didn't do Sunday, and it was neat meeting everybody and shaking hands, and just chatting about car stuff and whatnot. And I've moved on from that chapter of my life to the Warhammer stuff again and the painting stuff again. And I was thinking about setting up a booth for Old Grumpy Wolf should I get popular enough, or whatever happens with this podcast.
They'll let anybody buy a booth.
What's that?
I don't gotta sell stuff. They'll let anybody buy a booth. You don't gotta sell stuff.
Yeah, I know. It would probably be a couple years down the road, but that would be kind of cool to experience it from the perspective that you're describing. But no, it just genuinely is a lot of fun, just getting to do that whole nerd thing for 3 days straight, and meeting, like walking around and talking to other vendors at their booths and stuff like that. Like meeting Danny and Ian from Tooth and Coats, even though Ian's never emailed me back. Meeting Adam from Army Painter. Actually, I've got him coming on the show at the end of the month. Bumping into like some of the world's best painters, and they're absolutely friggin' cool. You can ask them anything you want, and they're happy to answer. And I think regarding with what you were saying about gatekeeping and negative attitudes, screw those people. Anybody who wants to gatekeep and be negative about stuff, it's just like, what, you go over there. I'm going to go hang out with the cool people, because this is where I'm hanging out at. Goodbye. I've mentioned it before on the show, but my gal, she, I tell her about some of the stuff people say on Reddit about my miniatures. And I get that Grim Bright isn't everyone's cup of tea. Like, a lot of the younger guys don't like Grim Bright very much, but I've had a couple guys make some snide comments, and I just don't care about, fighting on the internet. But one of the things she says is, they start in, it's like, well, where's your miniature at?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have one? Then shut up. Well, take your peanut gallery somewhere else.
Yeah.
But no,
we're just on Reddit for judgment. Nobody else. Just where you go to fight.
Yeah. Reddit is Reddit. Oh God. I found the smaller groups on Reddit tend to be a lot better than the large groups.
Yeah.
So like the main Warhammer 40,000 group on Reddit that I'm part of, and the main Warhammer group I'm part of, there are some characters in there. And they're not all fun.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like, I don't care. I've got like 15 guys over here saying how great my Blood Angel looks, and then you're saying it looks dumb because it looks like a cartoon.
Well, you're dumb.
just go to another thread. Bye-bye. No, that's so like I do remember with, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I do remember like with setting up a booth and running it. It's exhausting. It's fun, but it's exhausting.
Yeah. One of the shows we did tear down, and the loading dock was really tiny, and so only a handful of cars could come in at a time, and I think we ended up waiting 4 hours for our slot to bring the car in, and so it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night at the end of the show, where you've already been up till 11 or 12 every night before that, and up at 9 to get to the show floor, and I still think it's worth it. There's some things that are exhausting like that, and you're like, man, I never want to do that again. And the shows for me, I'm like, okay, when's the next one?
Oh, hell, on like Friday at LVO, I was hanging out at the Tooth and Coats booth with Danny and Ian drinking until like 8 or 9 o'clock. Come back the next day with my painting bestie that I grew up painting with. Him and I were there until 9:30, 10 o'clock drinking. There was I don't know. We were hanging out in the vendor area, and then like I forgot who the hell it was. It was what? God, I can't remember who it was. I don't. We bumped into somebody. We're like, hey, let's go to the bar and get drinks. We went to this little circle bar in the Rio, and then like more people from LVO came up, started hanging out with us, and that was totally like 6 o'clock. Yeah. And then I look at my watch and I'm like, oh geez, it's friggin' 9. And then my gal texts me. She's like, hey, she was running a show that night. She's like, hey, I'm off at 9:30. Can you go I ordered pizza. Can you go pick it up and bring it home? I was like, yeah, not a problem. So I'm hauling ass back through the Rio, and I actually ran through the main gaming room where there was like 2,000-3,000 people, and it was creepy because no one was in there.
Yeah, it's definitely weird to get to see some of the like back room sort of experience of the convention centers and stuff like that.
And on my way out, somebody's like, hey, you're OldGrumpyWolf. I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. He's like, you don't want to get a drink? I'm like, no, dude, I'm going to get pizza. Bye.
That's exactly the experience that I've enjoyed about it, is you start meeting people, and then they're like, oh, hey, I want to introduce you to this person. And then they're like, oh no, now we got to go talk to, and then they all end up, at the bar. I have to go to the bathroom. It's so much fun.
Standing in line for the toilet. Hey, I know you. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You'll know me after I get out of the bathroom. That's when you can know me.
Once I actually started being recognized, and I'll have people from show to show be like, oh my god, I bought a bunch of your stuff at this other show, and it's been a really interesting experience for me. Like, oh no, people are starting to recognize me. Is this good or bad?
Do you get any help at the booth, or is it just you?
I've had help in the past. I'm going to do my first shows on my own here coming up the next couple, because I only been doing the shows for like 2 years. So I did a handful my first year. I did a bunch last year, and I'm going back to doing a handful this year so I can make more content. Mm-hmm. So it's super helpful to have somebody there to help. But I think I've got the ropes now that hopefully it's going to go just fine on my own.
I just thought of a really dumb idea.
Huh?
I just thought of a really dumb idea. You should make a frog pope holding like a frog pope plushie. I don't know, like maybe a foot tall that holds a sign that says Beldolor will be right back, and just stick them in, in the middle of your table when you got to go run to the bathroom or the bar.
I went to the game manufacturers trade show, and they had a bunch of like meet and greet sort of things, or like at lunch, mingle, because otherwise it was like conferences and stuff. And I'm not great at mingling, so I took out my iPad and I drew Frog Pope on it and said "Friends wanted," and then I just sat it on the table. He was my little spokesman. I'll have to. God, I gotta find out where to get plushies made. I have another con friend who makes plushies. I'll have to find out if I can get Frog Pope plushies made. That sounds awesome.
This episode of the Minibar Podcast is sponsored by Frog Pope. Going back to your miniatures, you do a lot of fantasy stuff, but why do you prefer fantasy like over sci-fi for your miniatures?
So I really like working with organic shapes.
Okay.
I don't do a lot of mech stuff and hard surface stuff very well. I like sci-fi media a lot, but it's never worked out for me whenever I try and draw it, whenever I try and sculpt it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It always turns back in, I think the most mechanical I can get is stuff that looks like aliens, where it's kind of that biomechanical hoses and tubes and still has a skull and stuff like that.
Well, have you seen the squigs?
I've seen the squigs.
My gal's obsessed
I
with
may have been
squigs.
inspired by the squigs for one of the models I'm working on now, but
it's just a ball with a mouth and teeth and feet.
But I still think of that as like, so I wouldn't say that I do fantasy so much as creatures.
Okay.
So I don't do people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do humanoids because, some of the older Warhammer faces are also pretty horrific. But I have yet to sculpt a face that doesn't make me really uncomfortable. So I don't do a lot of humanoids, and I don't really do machine stuff well. So whether it's sci-fi or fantasy, I really like doing creatures, and I really kind of like approaching them as like a speculative biology. Like, okay, so where's all of his? How does his teeth work? How does the squig's anatomy happen? Mm-hmm. Like, where's his bones? How many jaw, teeth? Where are the eyes? And
since you work with Ian and his dad a lot, did you ever hear the stuff they did? Well, his dad did called Warzone.
I talked to him about it briefly, but I don't remember a whole bunch about it.
One of the guys, actually, he was my guest last week. He was a 90s heavy metal painter. His name was Tim Prow. I think you and Tim would probably get along really well because he's into traditional sculpting. He has his own miniature range called Die Hard Miniatures, and
cool.
He did a lot of sculpting for. He got into sculpting at Games Workshop right before he left, and then he did a lot of sculpting over at Ian's dad's brand for Warzone, but There's a lot of what you're talking about that also like him and I covered on the show as far as sculpting your own miniatures goes, and I think you and he would probably get along really well.
It's awesome. Yeah, I will say I meet a lot of people, but I'm really bad with names and faces.
Poor Tim. He's the one who painted like all the early box art miniatures for 40K and second edition, and everyone, including myself up until recently, everyone always thought it was Mike McVeigh. So unfortunately, Tim is this poor faceless guy who did all this amazing stuff that everybody worships, but everybody's worshiping the wrong painter. It's not always bad to stay faceless. With your icon for the brand is the Frog Pope. So
yeah, I can hide behind my Frog Pope. Got to get somebody to cosplay Frog Pope now and stand out in front of the table.
I was going to ask that. I was like, have you tried at your booth, like doing the best Frog Pope cosplay?
I tried getting my assistant to dress up as Frog Pope. I got a stuffed fish, and I was going to try and make it into a hat. But I actually couldn't find a stuffed fish big enough to not just look like it was sitting on top of the head. I couldn't get so that's as far as the Frog Pope costume contest ever got.
Yeah, God, for a human-sized fish like that, they'd be like a full-size tuna.
Yeah, basically.
That's a lot of cotton to stuff that thing with. Well, and again, you just
there's so many cool cosplay stuff. Like, I'm glad I'm not younger in a way, because I would go off the deep end with all the new foam stuff they do for cosplays and stuff.
Well, I was going to say, just brush the responsibility off on the cosplayers. Like, I'm hosting a Frog Pope cosplay contest. You guys make your own outfits. Have fun. I'll be sitting at my booth with a beer.
Now there's the strategy.
And then just take pictures and let the internet decide. That'd be kind of my buddy Chris. He was the third episode of what I did called the Dork Depot. He's like constant at LVO this year. He was there all 3 days, but he had like kind of a contest going where each day he would have stuff for raffle, like come find me and mention this word. And he was doing this on Instagram. He's like for like his stories and stuff. Like he's like, come find me and mention like Chris is the greatest, and you get this and this. And then as the day wore on, he kept adding more stuff to it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think somebody finally came and found him by the end of Saturday, and he got like half a backpack full of stuff that Chris is carrying around. So, like for the cosplay contest, you could be like, this weekend, everybody who's doing Frog Pope, they got to show up at my booth at like 10 o'clock on Saturday. Let me take pictures of them. I'm going to let everybody on the internet vote Saturday through Sunday, and then Sunday, whoever gets first, second, and third, this is your prize. This is your prize. This is your prize. And if you're hypothetically, if you're at the event and you're voting or you're promoting it, tag me and do this, and you get a free 30 millimeter Frog Pope to paint for yourself. But you got to come to my booth and do something at my booth.
I love it.
Yeah, it's just an interesting way of marketing, like real world. What's like kind of like a real world game.
Yeah.
I'm going back to thinking about Nine Inch Nails when they didn't release the album. Oh crap! I can't remember the name of the album. Year Zero. There we go. They did this like reality game where at their shows they were like hiding like USB drives and like urinals and at the bar and stuff like that. Yeah. And the USB drives, they had like clues on them and little video clips and stuff. They had like these websites that were like fake websites but went along with the story of the album, and if you followed all of the clues, you got to go to a free Nine Inch Nails concert in like a warehouse in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's sick.
There was about 100 people who showed up to it.
That's awesome.
And the Thought Police in the album actually showed up to the concert 45 minutes in and broke the concert up and hauled Nine Inch Nails off stage like they were being arrested.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so those reality games like that, you could totally do something with the Frog Pope like that for people to participate. So, rolling into another question, we were talking about this on on Instagram earlier today, and this is something that Tim Prow brought up to me, and we were talking about as well. Does painting your own minis that you make help with your sculpting?
Absolutely. It more often makes me regret a lot of my choices. But like I said earlier, getting things in the right scale, like even the Frog Pope has a bunch of details that I didn't really realize would be so difficult to paint before I actually painted him. And with a lot of my models, there's aspects of them that, just like with doing my own supports for printing them, painting them myself or like anticipating painting them myself really kind of directs some of the design choices that I'll make. And one of the things that I've been really challenging myself on is that depth of detail and stuff that you were talking about, of how deep to carve things so that when it's small, it's got enough depth and contrast versus, a naturally accurate version of this creature would not have this much depth of exaggeration, basically, to proportions and stuff like that. And that, going back and painting was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot more sense, because if it's not exaggerated, where do you even put the paint? How do you know where how do you know where the arm stops? How do you know where the robe on Frog Pope starts and stops if it's, normal clothes thickness?
Well, so, I mean, since we've talked about the Frog Pope so much, you just mentioned it. what details of the Frog Pope did you notice, since we both painted him, what details of the Frog Pope did you notice that you felt you could improve on, just from like, oh, this did not come out like this, I should do it like that?
A lot of it is with his robes. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of detail on his robes. Like, I'm sure maybe you've got better eyes than I do on the little ones, but his robe has like little loopholes for each of the strings. And then he's got
at the very
strings
top
for it and the embroidery. And looking back on it, I would have done a lot less detail and a lot less focus on the notions and the buttonholes and stuff like that, as opposed to making the details kind of have a contrast of their own, of that that depth and texture. And I've found that I like painting things that are carved a lot more than I like painting things that are sticking up out of the surface, which again, on Frog Pope, he's got all of the little embellishments that I find difficult to paint, because you can't get the edges, or then you get the edges, but then you get too much paint outside the edges, as opposed to like painting into a crevice. It's like, okay, that looks great.
I think the two hardest parts for me to paint were his scarf, the fish scales. Yeah. And then the flourishes on his little vest.
Yeah, you nailed them though.
I kind of ad-libbed some of it. Like the flourishes, the swirls. I just kind of built up some paint to kind of redesign the detail a bit. Yeah. And then worked from there. But the little fish scales on his scarf, those were hard. I mean, I didn't have to do a ton with them, but just nailing to highlight every single little fish scale, I'm just like,
Yeah, when I send you some of those other minis, I'll send you a big Frog Pope too. He's a lot more fun to paint.
Yeah, I'm curious at what he looks like printed at a larger size.
Yeah, I mostly do the smaller size because that's the scale for Dungeons and Dragons. But personally, I prefer painting the 40, 50 millimeter size ones. Yeah. Like I don't really work to the appropriate scales. I just judge based on like what size base they fit on or how tall they are.
Well, like a lot of the stuff that you do that I've seen on your website, like a lot of it, I think would be very popular, like for display painters. Especially since I've painted up a couple of busts. A lot of them, I mean, they would be such a blast to have at, like 40 or 50 millimeters, just because of the amount of detail that you work in there, and that there are so many natural surfaces on your miniatures.
Yeah. And it's kind of going back to like bases or no bases, trying to figure out what designs people are going to want for what reasons. Like, oh, this guy's going to be really cool for my D&D campaign, versus the people who want to paint a bust or a larger scale mini for the enjoyment of the painting part. Yeah. More
I'm sorry, my whole point was like offer like a larger scale size, like with everyone, a larger scale, and just like a standard tabletop scale.
Yeah, no, that's what I do, especially for the ones that I do through Kickstarter, because then I get a little bit more resources to, because every size you print at, you have to redo all of the supports for the 3D printing. Yeah. So like for Frog Pope, it got funded enough that I could make all the way up to the really big size. And so for the snails and the bearded dragon ones, I also have that where there's the little tabletop size, and then there's the bigger size, and then you start getting the absurd ones. And,
No, what was I sent you two, or I sent you three earlier. Hang on. One was scrolling back up. Go.
I think it was there was a frog or a bullywug, and then Mothman and the Mushroom King.
Where did they go? We were just talking about this. Oh, there we go. There was the Frog Warrior, the Mothman, and then the Mushroom King. And I think that like that Frog Warrior, that would be really cool. Like he's got so much texture on him. That thing would be really cool at like 30 or 40 millimeters. Especially for people who
I think he's about. I mean, he's standard size, so I think he's about 30 millimeters tall.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting proposition to make him, big enough.
Yeah. Well, like just looking at his surface texture, like that would be great for some like entry level painters who are really big on using speed paints or contrast paints, because it's got so many ridges and then insets.
I'll have to send you some of my lizard folk too, because they were really fun to make. That was a kind of a crash course in like, okay, I want to have scales and detail, but I don't want to repeat the frog pope. Too many tiny little scales. How can I start to characterize kind of a alligator look without doing every individual scale? And then I really want to make minis that are able to be a challenge for whoever's working on them, but not be exceptionally challenging that it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So if somebody's just starting out, it's easy enough to paint that they can be happy, but it's also enough of a canvas that somebody who's experienced with painting can kind of take it further than just what the sculpt itself offers.
I really had a good time painting the scales on the fish and then the fish's fins. That was the scales offered a lot of like opportunity for like a lot of creativity. You know, there's a million and one different ways you can paint the scales of the fish, but as soon as I saw the scales on the fish, I'm like, ooh, I already know what I want to do. I want to try like just like a really nice like glaze effect going from dark green to like goblin green, and then have like a really hard yellowish white highlight at the very ends of the scales to make them look like they're a little dried out but they're still shiny.
Yeah. No, I love yours is going to be one of my favorite frog popes, I think. I love them all. They're all my little babies, even if they're painted by other people.
Most people can't have kids. I have frog popes.
I have frog popes all around the world.
Where have you noticed like
telling myself I want to make a frog pope map, and you know how like bars and stuff, they'll have the map where you put a pin in where you're from. I want to put a pin in everywhere I've sent a frog pope.
Where's the most exotic place you've gotten a frog pope from?
I think the most exotic place that I've sent one to is Thailand. Oh, okay. And then I've gotten pictures and stuff of frog popes from I think probably the furthest away or more exotic is probably Australia.
Oh, okay.
But that's also something kind of like you were saying with the conventions. I keep meaning to take one of my bigger painted ones and kind of do the roaming gnome, but it's the wandering frog pope, and like take him to the conventions with me and put him on the points of interest or whatever, like he's touring the country.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be a neat little thing for your Instagram to do. I think a lot of people would like that. Then you get just, I don't know, like leave him there for like 20 minutes and then just like see how many people like take pictures next to him.
No, don't take my frog pope.
I'd be like, oh, what's up? It's the frog pope. I hung out with the frog pope. Going back into kind of 3D stuff. What advice would you give to people who want to get into sculpting their own minis? Like starting out.
That's a pretty good one. Honestly, for me, it's always been kind of having a vision and desire of what you want to make, and then learning the tools that are going to help you get there. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be 3D sculpting. It can be sculpey clay. It can be green stuff. But knowing what you want to make and then learning the tools to make it. And for me, like personally with the work that I do, my advice is kind of geared around either the technical side, the techniques, the materials, or for me, sculpting is a lot about kind of studies in anatomy. So like I said, Frog Pope is based on a real frog, based on a real kind of fish. All of my characters are based on real things. So going out and studying real stuff and seeing how you can exaggerate it, or, you know, how you want to make it like, I guess believable. But yeah, it's just studying and trying and finding out what's going to be the right medium to work in. And I mean, if you want to make reproducible ones, probably 3D or something, learning how to cast in resin. It's a whole other roadshow. Yeah, I don't know what kind of good advice to give other than just keep trying. It's like with the painting, it's all about practice and kind of the wanting to make something. Just make it. And then if you don't like it, make it again.
Maybe narrowing it down a little bit easier, like what What hardware would you recommend, like, just to start off with for like designing it? Like, it's like you use an iPad, so is that something like maybe an iPad or a software suite?
I would say for me, the one that's been the most accessible is Nomad Sculpt on the iPad. For that one, I think the only barrier to entry is the cost of the iPad and the stylus, because the app's, I think, like $20 or $40, something like that. And,
do you know if they make that for Android?
I think they might. I'm not sure. It might be Apple only. But yeah, and it's a pretty intuitive. It's a good intuitive program that, for me at least, has taken that like complexity of Blender. It's simple. It gets you what you need to do, but it's also still really powerful. So as you learn, there's all those YouTube videos that you can look up and get the little tips and techniques, because a lot of people use it and a lot of people do some really, really cool things.
Yeah.
And then kind of having those aspirational goals of like, oh, this is possible to do. I'm going to figure out how to do it. I want to, now I know I can make like a whole pattern of scales. What's that going to go on? Okay, it's time to make a dragon.
Yeah, I think both of us are kind of at an advantage for that, because we both have, like a heavy traditional art background. Do you think that like actually not having an art background would be a hindrance at all? Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, got me stumped. I don't think so. I think if you don't have the background, like getting started might be more frustrating, just because you haven't, built up the skill set. But the software is still pretty intuitive, and it's still the same kind of techniques. So if you can visualize it, or even if you just like pull it up and start doodling around, I wouldn't say that it's any more of a barrier than learning anything else new.
Okay.
You don't need a lengthy experience with sculpting with clay or pottery or any of the other sort of things. If you just get started and go with it.
Well, there was one major thing you mentioned, was that like in modern day and age, you can pop on YouTube and check out tutorials. Yeah.
And that's, I have a hard time with YouTube because I think a lot of people talk too slow, and I just want the answer right now.
You gotta skip through 15 minutes of the video to find out what you're looking for is right at the end. You're like, oh!
Yeah. And, but so there's a lot of really good short clip, like, here's how you do this cool thing. Here's how you do, I think it's Tiny Robot Studios or something like that, does some amazing ones for Nomad Sculpt. And there's a lot to be said about learning the techniques, and even if you don't necessarily have a huge amount of like creativity or art background, that you can, I don't want to say mechanically, but you can follow the procedures and learn the tools, and then be able to make things that way too. And then sometimes stuff just comes out of it. You just start doodling, and now it's a thing.
Yeah, there's one point that I've brought up with a few guests, and we've talked about is, even like just on the miniature side, painting things. And like for me, it was with music and with cars, you may not find your answer right away. You're going to have to experiment. But as you're getting closer to your answer, you keep using the word side quest. You might go down like 3, 4 to 5 different side quests and learn a whole bunch of different cool stuff that you never even intended to learn. And then you're back on your main quest again. And when you're done with the main quest, you start a new quest. And all of a sudden, those 5 side quests that you took, all that new information that you learned, it's like,
this is all so relevant now.
Oh, cool. I can do something completely different, but now it's actually relevant and I can use it for this.
Yes. Yep.
So,
and a lot of that too, even for me, it's just been like, fart around and find out, since you said no swears.
That's a good one.
Of just seeing what the apps can do. Like, okay, if I do this or if I do this, and sometimes it's like, oh man, that's actually super cool. And I wouldn't have necessarily even known what to Google for it to find it, because I didn't know I wanted to do it.
The piece of advice somebody gave me when I was a wee little young one of like 15, when I started using Photoshop, was dude at the time, he was really good, and he's like, yeah, just try to break the software. You're not going to break it. Just touch everything. And that's pretty much how I learned Photoshop.
Lens flare.
kind of amazing.
Difference clouds.
Oh, I mean, you want to start dating ourselves? Eye candy and what was KPT power tools?
Yeah, I did some Photoshop crimes.
I think we all did. That's how you learn.
Yep.
Okay, so we talked about your 3D modeling. We just talked about in the break. We talked about Vampire Survivors. That's one of the greatest games ever made because one of your miniatures looks like a character from it. Let's switch over to your Instagram and show the world the blessed and amazing and absolutely fantastic. I am stalling because I'm looking for a button frog pope. So some of you have seen him on my profile, but here it is on Ray's profile. Are you going to open? There we go. And this was your paint job,
That's one of
correct?
the original ones I painted up.
Okay. And like I said earlier, you know, like one thing I really liked about your painting was you really go for the more realistic approach.
This one is kind of shooting. He's one of the bigger ones. I think he's like 85 millimeters. Yeah, I don't know. I geek out on nature and actual animals and stuff, and so that's kind of where I go with the naturalistic style of painting is whatever I based them on. I kind of want to so the frog pope's the desert rain frog and a rainbow trout actually, and so that's kind of where the color schemes end up coming from is whatever I based them on, and then kind of it evolves from there. But yeah, it's also been so much fun to see everybody else's too. And
this is a big plethora of all the different paint brands you use, right?
Yeah, it's just a mix and match. I think a lot of it's pro acryl, but this one might be all pro acryl. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, most of my stuff's whatever feels right. And I really don't have any words of wisdom when it comes to painting because I just just go with what feels right.
It's a lot of fun looking at yours because it's so different than like what I painted up.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly like one of my favorite parts about it is getting to see all of the different ones, especially like from the, really exceptional painters and, like, oh man, like, again, I'm like, man, I wish I could paint Frog Pope that good. And I made Frog Pope.
The funny thing is one of the biggest things that I got hinged on while painting him was his eyes.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to do the real frog eye where it's got the, the black slit going forward and backwards. Yeah. So, like I'm sitting there like for 15, 20 minutes just digging through pictures of like anime frog eyes to see how they would do it. And I just eventually settled on the way that I painted mine with the, I don't know, like the half oval almost.
Yeah. I've seen some of them too that are just like really cartoony, just huge black circles for the eyes, kind of little dead shark eyes going on there. And
yeah, trying to figure out how I wanted to do the fish eyes. It's actually kind of funny that you and I landed on like pretty much the same dark, like blue-gray color scheme.
Yeah, the one I went was kind of like, trying to be a little bit too realistic, and they're supposed to look kind of like glazed over dead fish eyes. Mm-hmm. They start getting all cloudy and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on mine, I actually kind of messed up where I put the light source dot. I just put it like right in the middle of the pupil, and I was like, you know what? It's come down to the end. It was literally the last thing I did before I clear coated it. I'm like, I don't want to change it. I'm over it. So, one of the dots that I had painted accidentally almost got like, it chunked off. It fell off from where I dotted it. I'm like, oh God, really? I don't want to make another dot. It's kind of, it'd be interesting to see him at that, like see what he looks like in person at that scale. I mean, he's got to be pretty big. You said 80 millimeter?
Yeah, I think he's probably about that tallish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's 85 to 100 from the top of the fish to the feet.
That's a big frog pope.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
They sold really well for the Kickstarter, but nobody likes to buy them at shows or anything.
Aw.
Nobody's willing to pay the price I want for the painted ones, and they don't want to paint them themselves. So
that's got to be heavy at that scale too.
They're hollow, so they're actually about the same weight as the bigger little guys.
Oh, got all the busts I've had. Those things they're solid resin, so those things are heavy.
Yeah, it's cheaper to ship stuff that isn't heavy.
Well, I don't know if you
It also saves a lot on materials since the resin can be expensive. But yeah, you can see on his coat, he's got all like the little buttonholes and stuff that he absolutely has no business having on a tiny miniature.
Well, it's actually to see like where I fudged the flourishes on his jacket. They actually kind of match up mostly. Yeah,
you wouldn't have. I wouldn't know if you hadn't said anything. They looked like the right ones to me.
Yeah, I was kind of. I think it's like every painter, because I've seen it in some of Louise's videos and I've seen it like in Zumakito's videos and stuff like that, where you eventually wear down a detail brush to the point where it's like 10 bristles left, but it's like your favorite brush and you just can't get rid of it. So I was kind of in the in-between phase where I didn't really have a favorite brush that had been worn down that far yet. So I'm trying to do the flourishes. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to make it work. This is new. I thought this guy was neat.
I love he doesn't get enough love, but he's one of my favorite ones. I tried painting him after the rainbow mantis shrimp. And that was the one I was talking about earlier, that it's taken me a couple years to get this far in this. I pick him up every now and then and paint him. He was half done for a long time and I couldn't remember how I did the rainbow on his scales.
I like how on his back, like how oily he looks.
Yeah, that's one of my things that I really like trying to paint, is the kind of oily, iridescent colors and stuff like that. I love looking at them and I love the challenge of trying to paint them.
Yeah, I think you genuinely nailed it on this guy. I think not like his scales really show it off, but you could also see it on his skin too.
Yeah, it's kind of one of my favorite color transitions. So like I said, I end up with a lot of blue and green paints.
And one thing I just noticed on this, I didn't notice before, and because I'm such a fan of Prometheus, so he's got an inner set of teeth. Is he supposed to be like a goblin shark where they kind of like jut outwards?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I called it. Just try.
It's those little hidden details. I love it when people pick up on them. Little Easter eggs I try and hide and stuff.
I'm still mad that they never did anything with the Deacon and Prometheus.
I have a hard time with some of the prequel, sequel ones. I like the old school Alien. I know they're all part of the same universe now, but
well, Ridley Scott ruined, like, after the Prometheus movie came out, Dark Horse was doing they were doing the Fire and Stone series with Aliens, Predator, Alien versus Predator, and then Prometheus as comic books. And
yeah,
the original series was, instead of xenomorphs, was going to have deacons as the main alien, and Ridley Scott put the kibosh on that. So they had a whole bunch of concept art done. They actually had like the first 2 issues of the Prometheus Fire and Stone comic done with deacons, and they had to wipe it all and start all over. But if you actually get the hardbound cover, I've got a copy of it. You can find scans now online, but if you find the hardbound copy of Fire and Stone, in the back they have like 50 pages worth of like artist notes and drawings, and it actually shows what they were planning on doing with like adult xenomorph or adult deacons, and like human bred deacons, and then engineer bred deacons, and it was actually
I love all that
cool.
World building shit. It's so cool.
Yeah,
I love world building.
But with Ridley Scott putting the kibosh on the deacon, I was just like, I hate you so bad. Thank you for ruining that. You came up with a great concept at the end of Prometheus, and then you just went whoosh, swirly down the drain. And I noticed this. I like the little frog in his mouth.
That is one of the few things that I actually have put a magnet in. A little frog
really?
is magnetized and he comes out.
Oh, cool. Is he part of the original miniature?
So this one was, he's they're actually the same model, just posed different, and one's printed real small. So they're another one that I did for Mage Hand Press. That's it's an extinct species of frog that raised its tadpoles in its stomach.
Yeah, I just noticed. I was reading your notes up there at the top of the page. Yeah,
so that was kind of the intent behind the model. I was like, oh, well, if he's gonna have a little frog, I'm gonna make the little frog removable because I like gimmicks. Mm-hmm. And
oh, that's a neat little addition. I don't, you don't really see anything like that. It'd almost be like it'd be like a great unclean one with like a nurgling that can go in his mouth.
Yeah.
And these, what mini should I finish next? I vote on the eyeball guy at the top right. Actually,
He's,
looking at these, it really reminds me of the stuff that you would see in Annihilation.
I love Annihilation.
Have you read the books?
I freaking love Annihilation.
Have you read the books?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fourth one was
I really like the first one, and then they kind of just start devolving into madness, I think, by the end of the series, which is fitting, I think. But the third book, I think I've listened to it 2 or 3 times, and I have no idea what happens.
It's definitely an interesting one. I got with the second book, Annihilation. I think it was Authority.
Yeah, Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance.
I was so bored with the first 2/3 of the book, and then like the last third of the book just took off like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
I was like, that's different. And it's funny, like you could actually, if you've read the trilogy, you can see some of the ideas in the movie.
Yeah.
I like how they brought in the old, I mean, we're going way off topic, but I don't care. I like how they brought in the old, the first Area X base that got overrun by the Shimmer.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I thought it was neat. Obviously you're a visual person, and I'm very much a visual person. It was really neat. I saw the movie before I read the books, and it was neat actually, like reading the first book and seeing everything from the film in my head.
Yeah,
because they don't really they don't tell you what the Shimmer looks like in the book. So
yeah.
I like, we were talking about the iridescent stuff on the back of the shark mouth guy, how you had the iridescent shimmer, and you could actually, I could see that in the book when they were talking about like the border for Area X.
Yeah, I saw the movie before reading the books too, and it definitely colored the experience in a really cool way to like, okay, this is the tone that's been set for me. This is what it's going to look like in my head when I'm reading the book now.
Yeah.
And the movie, I don't think, I mean, they never do, right? You can't capture the whole concept of the books in one movie. It was a great movie, but the books are just so, I love the way he writes. It's just really, really strange.
I really liked how he wrote, but like I read his other trilogy too that he did, the one with the mushroom people that live underground. I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head, but it was like 3 different books written at 3 different times. But I just got really frustrated with like how far into the minutia he gets in details.
Yeah.
Whereas like I've gotten really into Blake Crouch, and Blake Crouch, his stuff reads like a movie. It's just boom, boom, boom. It's so much fun. But
Jeff Vandermeer definitely strikes me as someone who's like, I really like fungus, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows it.
The fourth Area X book, it was a waste of time. I didn't like it.
No?
No.
I thought it was all right, but it was definitely a completely different tone and a completely different approach to the world building, I think.
Yeah. No, the reason why I brought the whole Area X or the Annihilation thing up, and especially because of this, is because of the squirrel.
Yeah, he's my eldritch squirrel.
Yeah, that looks like totally something out of like Area X.
If only I were that cool.
He's fun. I like him.
Yeah, he's been fun to work on. He's one of the few ones that I haven't blocked out in VR, that I did him all on the iPad. I'm assuming you still have to finish his tails. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put like spikes or stingers or something on the tail. Yeah, I definitely want to print one of their paint one. Have you seen? I like his big eye bibble. Do you watch Love, Death, and Robots? No, I've never seen it. I keep meaning to watch it. I just never get around to it. It's really, really good. And it was one of those, for me watching, was like, oh man, it is really sick that they picked this really obscure short story that I have loved for years to put into this show. Mm-hmm. But so the monster in the show has, it looks like a ponytail or something, but it turns into these three tentacles with like knives on the end of them or something like that. So I think that's where I'm going to go with this guy, is have some knife or stinger or spikes or something on the end of his tails. That would be kind of cool to do something like the end of a xenomorph tail, how they have kind of like the kind of like the hook or the lady looking fin thing. Yeah. And that's just like nightmare fuel right there.
I like how
I like
you
to
use,
swing wildly back and forth between really cute and absolutely horrifying.
it's like if you made Tyranids cute.
They are cute.
And then the Eldritch Squirrel. Yeah, that one, I'd say definitely that one you've got to print in like larger scale. That thing would be a nightmare to paint at like 20 millimeters.
Oh my god, that's one of the reasons I haven't gotten him out yet, is that he's got to be big. Like,
yeah. You
can't make him game scale because it's just going to be...
He's going to lose a lot.
He's just going to look like another squirrel.
Well, that's the thing, like one thing I've noticed about 3D artists going through, you know, when you accidentally fall into the Etsy rabbit hole, a lot of the 3D sculptors, like they come up with a lot of really cool miniatures, but like the detail that they're trying to cram in there does not scale down to 28, 30 millimeter very well. It's like, take like half that out.
Yeah.
Especially like when you've got like flourishes like on armor that doesn't have a hard defined edge. It just fades into the rest of the armor. Like it's almost like it's beveled. And it's like, no, don't use a bevel like the way you're doing the fur on his hind leg. It's like that's the way you want the detail to be.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but I suspect that a lot of those people come from like either art 3D modeling or like video game 3D modeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than like physically like art modeling kind of backgrounds.
Yeah, and what Tim and I were talking about when you and I were talking about earlier, like I don't think a lot of these people actually paint their own models.
Yeah.
And it's like you're really losing that level of experience of like, okay, this thing looks great on screen. What are you doing
to people when you give them this?
Yeah, it looks great on screen, but like there was a topic I wanted to bring up earlier. It was talking about resolution of printers. And they're getting so much better, but they're still not at the point. I mean, we've jumped from hypothetically going from like 72 DPI up to like 300 DPI. We're still not we're pushing near 600, but we're still not at 1200. I think when we hit like the 1200, that tier, it's gonna, you know, the details they wish they could keep in there will finally stay in there, but they're gonna be so friggin' thin.
They're still gonna be. I mean, like I can. The smallest frog pope I print is 15 millimeters tall. Mm-hmm. I give them out as like freebies and stuff with my business card. But the details are all there, but I don't have a brush small enough to pick them out.
Yeah, there's just not enough resolution in the printer also to represent them properly. On another thing that like I'd be worried about is, you know, you get super thin with those details, and you know, resin is not exactly the strongest material on the planet for making minis with. It you know, it you can sit there and scrape off mold lines with your fingernail on it. Yeah,
the resin I use, it's pretty cool stuff. It's really expensive, but it's pretty flexible. It comes out. I think I don't know if it's the one that I used for the minis I sent to Bob, because there are the cheaper ones. A lot of those are. That's another one of Clay's. He's I freaking love the little rat with the dice bowl.
It's so cute.
It's not quite like the rubbery PVC, and it's not as hard as the polystyrene or PP or whatever Babe's Workshop uses. But it's flexible, and so like the antennas on the snails and stuff, they're bendable enough that they don't just like shatter completely off.
Yeah, they're forgiving.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a huge ramble.
Oh, no, it's fine. I noticed this earlier today. Congratulations on this. I was looking at it. This is really cool.
Yeah, the him I had already painted, and then I put together the base actually at the show. It's the first scenic base I've done. So
Did you 3D sculpt any of that, or is that just a shape and then pile stuff on it?
It's I went around the whole convention floor at Origins, and there was a booth for, I don't remember what their brand is, something terrain, and they make basing materials, and they had a little demo thing, and they had bases, and then they had the materials to make a little base, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a little base, and then I did that, and then I'm like, oh, my frog's gonna go on it. So it was really impromptu to enter the competition.
So
that was another one. I made a whole fish. Huh?
You just literally did all that at a show?
Yeah, the frog, I think I already had him painted, and the whole base I made at the show.
That's really impressive.
I either work really fast or really slow. I don't have anywhere in between.
Well, it's kind of nice, like when you've got like that, I don't know, kind of like that good idea in your head that translates well to like physical reality, like almost immediately.
Yeah, it's that like instant flow state. Like, here I go.
Here go, get on my own. And every time I hear that song, all I can think of is Old School. I took the restrictor plate off. Let's keep that on the down low. Is this one of yours or is this your other guy?
That's one of Clay's.
Oh, okay. It seems like he's really big on like kind of the adorable animal aspect.
He is, yeah. He does really cute the animals and like the little companions. I think there's a couple of dogs that he did. Yeah, you can kind of see the resolution on his nose.
Yeah.
Is kind of the limits of the printer. He does a lot of really cute stuff that I wish I had come up with, like the capybara. Everybody freaking loves the capybara, and I'm like, oh, I should have thought of capybara.
Yeah, I keep seeing those around, and I always forget what the hell they're called. Oh, this is kind of cool that somebody actually used fur on this.
That's I want to say 2004.
Oh, okay.
It was a sculpture that I used to use taxidermy eyes, like for taxidermy fish and stuff. And then it's like faux fur along the back of him. I dug him up when I was cleaning.
That's a really interesting idea.
They make
you made the whole thing out of Sculpey?
Like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think there's aluminum foil and wire base to him, but otherwise he's all hand done.
How long? Do you remember how long it took you to sculpt him?
I didn't get to do it straight. I think it took a couple of weeks, kind of going at it in the evenings after school. Yeah. That's
really cool. Yeah, I really like your basing too, like the stuff that you're building up. This is really cool.
Thanks. Those are also ones that I do in VR. It's handy because you can make stamp brushes, and then so like all of the bones are. I have a handful of vertebrae stamps, and then I can just like lay out a whole spine where I want it, with the kind of like you would with random little bits or whatever.
Yeah, it's just kind of cool that you can just sit there and lay in bed or lay on the couch and just do.
Yep.
As opposed to being hunched over.
My arms around.
Yeah, that's I mean, just thinking about doing that in VR, it's just really cool that you can sit there and like you can actually zoom in VR too, where you can't really do that in real life. You have to get under a magnifying glass.
That's why I said it's way too easy to get too much detail.
I like this guy. This is one that you painted, correct?
Yep. He is bust sized.
I like how everything is so bright and vivid on him.
I really love the again that like teal and blue transitions.
Yeah. Did you print?
I don't know if you're big into Final Fantasy.
I kind of stopped after 7.
I just went through all the like art books and just picked all the favorite pieces of Comet that I liked. And put them all into one dragon.
Did you paint this all put together, or did you do this in sub-assembly?
Sub-assemblies.
Oh, I was about to say, man, I could not imagine trying to paint this in like single piece. I'd be like, no, I quit.
Yeah, no, he's definitely comes in a bunch of pieces to make it possible to paint him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some people that'd be fine painting him, fully put together, but we talked earlier and I'd be like, nope, it's not painted. I can't do that.
Yeah.
This is going to drive me to drink already more than I do. And this is another one of yours, like I'm guessing because of how bright he is.
Yep.
I like his little spots on him, and I like how bright he is, and he's poisonous.
He's so I was I don't know if I said it in the description. I was out kayaking and came across a green frog. That it's xanthic, I think is what it's called, where they don't have yellow pigment. So you take a frog and take all the yellow out of it, and then he's blue.
Yeah, usually animals and insects that are colored that brightly in nature tend to be highly poisonous.
Yeah.
And you stay
pay attention and go away.
Forbidden Froggo. Every time I see like a video, like my gal and I are watching due to my autism, I like to watch stuff about like autistic people and like studies and stuff on it. And there's a TV show that came out about I think it's like Autistic in Love or something like that.
Oh, wait, the dating show or whatever.
Yeah. And one of the couples goes to they go to a like a wildlife park, and there's like lions and tigers and stuff like that. And there's the girl goes up to the cage and like is like talking to the lion. And it's like, ooh, that's big forbidden kitty. So anytime we see big cats, we're like, ooh, big forbidden kitty, no pet. Oh, that's from Dungeons and Dragons, isn't it?
It's it's not for copyright reasons.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's something from Baldur's Gate, or was that a video game?
It's kind of inspired by the beholders from Dungeons and Dragons or the eyeball monsters or whatever. But also, have you seen Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in years, but yeah.
The pale man with the eyeballs in his hands.
Oh god, that was so creepy. That was such a great. It was creepy as hell, but it's such a great character design, and then how they brought it to life on screen was nuts. My eyeball itches. I thought you were going to kill me. No, it's just really irritated. And it's I can actually some of these like there's there we go. There's the Frog Pope sticker and the Frog Pope hymn.
Yep, there's all the.
And that's a different Frog Pope.
Yes, it is. I've painted I think 3 or 4 of the big size ones.
That one looks like he's about 40 millimeters, 30.
The sticker is a 3-inch sticker.
Okay, so he's a big boy.
Yeah, he's the one of the 80, 100 size-ish ones. It was before I actually started making things like reasonable numbers to remember them.
Oh, there's a whole weekend for you.
Yeah, see, the little guys closest to the screen are the ones like you got at the Nova Open. Mm-hmm. And then the next size over are the 50 millimeters, and then the next size over are the 80s. Oh,
wow. Yeah, I want to try painting one of the bigger ones. I want a Frog Pope sticker. This is so cute.
I got the hookup for you.
You know a guy?
I know a guy who's got some Frog Pope stickers.
I know a guy that knows a guy that got next to a guy that knows a guy.
Got the Frog Pope hookup over here.
Oh, and this is the model we were looking at earlier on your personal page, isn't it?
Yeah, that one is sort of. So that one is from my first Kickstarter campaign, Dear Gods, which was an overly ambitious project that I now hate, but everyone still loves. So it's a kit of modular deer parts, and you can put together, whatever you want to make, like this guy or, some other horrible thing. Or I have one that looks like the creature from the ritual. And I used that as the base for the deer that we were looking at earlier. So I reused the assets.
Oh, okay.
And made a new pair of antlers, and was able to kind of recycle some of the assets and make it into something new.
I like how you included the plant stuff in his antlers.
That one wasn't painted by me. Oh. I like to share the paintings other people do, but yeah.
Okay.
That was.
No, that's kind of a neat idea to get across that it's.
No, I like it.
It's like naturey. Ooh, what is that?
That is, let's say my 3rd Kickstarter. It's a xenomorph inspired dragon.
Like you said at the beginning, the dragons are painted kind of cool, but the model kind of sucks. I'm gonna do my own.
Yeah. Went after the kind of iridescent sheen on this one too.
Yeah, this is really cool, and this is one that you painted.
Yeah. This
is really neat. I like it. Yeah, I can totally see the inspiration of the xenomorph in the tail too.
Yeah.
It's funny how this one creature that H.R. Giger made so long ago has like inspired millions of people in their artwork.
It's such a good design.
Yeah. No, my old college professor, he was my anthropology professor, and I took another one of his anthropology courses. It was a really small course, but him and I have remained friends for over 20 years now. And he's an amazing artist, and he reposted one of his pieces the other day. It was one of my favorite ones he ever did. And there's like so much Basinski in it. I absolutely adore it. I totally forgot about the piece, and as soon as he posted, I was like, "Oh my god, I love this! I want to print that on my wall at home." It's just like it's Siddhartha sitting in a meditation pose, like his back is toward, like it's at like a I don't know, like a 2/3 perspective angle, and I'll send you the picture of it later. But it's Siddhartha sitting meditating, and then like modern industrial buildings coming in, and the area around Siddhartha is very earthly looking, but the industrial buildings coming in are very, very like Basinski inspired, and it also reminds me of Scorn. Did you ever play that?
Which?
Scorn.
No.
Oh, it's all the game is a complete ode to Basinski and to Giger.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's literally
sounds
like
familiar, but I don't know why.
It's literally what Alien Covenant should have looked like.
Okay.
But no, H.R. Giger's estate wouldn't let them use the artwork for the movie anymore, so that's why we got the Roman Greek aesthetic for the Engineer's Planet.
Oh, lame.
And we were going to end on this little monster. I'm assuming this is not one that you sculpted.
It is.
Oh, it is.
It was a commission for somebody of their custom Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
So it's Rydoof. It's Raichu and Bidoof.
It's very cute.
I love him. But yeah, he came out a lot different from a lot of my other work.
And is this one you painted as well?
Yeah.
That's cool, actually, to see you do flat colors like that.
I really want to try doing some of those comic book anime style cell shaded flat color paint jobs. I have no idea where to start.
There's a guy I follow. He does that exact style you're talking about. I can send you his profile. He actually shows like how he does everything. He basically blocks in all the color and then does all the black line work on top of it.
Oh, sick.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the ending here. So since I asked about it before, this is the portion of the show where we do shout outs. So is there anybody you'd like to shout out?
I've talked about them a couple times, but I think one of the coolest groups that I've been working with is the guys at Mage Hand Press. Mm-hmm. They do supplements and stuff for D&D, and they have a really cool one about extinct creatures and stuff like that have gone extinct during the Holocene. And it's, even if you don't play in D&D, it's a pretty cool book to learn about sad stories about dead animals.
And is there anybody else?
He didn't tell me there would be more than one.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to do more. I'm just asking.
I didn't think that far ahead.
Oh, it's fine. Well, if you think of any more, I'll have whoever we talked about down in the description in this video, so people can check it out if they want to go check it out. I'll have your store link in the video for sure. One thing I did with Tim Prow. He created, when the show comes out, he created a custom discount code for his shop. If you see it on my show, so if you want to cross promote, if you want to do a promotional code for your shop, like 10% off, send me the link and it'll be down or send me the code and it'll be down in the description below, so people can go buy your awesome miniatures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we need more Frog Pope in the world.
We need to get the word out. We got to spread the word about the Frog Pope.
And I am getting yelled at right now. Oh, it's your time to interrupt my show? Is that what's going on? Oh, he knows. It's my cat Gizmo.
Just the aforementioned cat.
Oh no, I have one cat, and then my gal has 4. And
okay.
Oh my God, what? And then what happened? Is that it? No, Gizmo, he's a very little vocal man, and he likes to interrupt the show, and he knows better now that if he interrupts the show, I will pick him up and put him on camera. So he's staying about 3 arm lengths away from me, right behind me right now. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you very much, Ray, for coming on the show. If anyone out there would like some awesome fantasy style miniatures, awesome little creatures to paint up, please go take a look at her store. You can find her on Instagram by the address that's been on the screen the entire time. And thank you for joining us at the bar tonight. I'm going to shut this down. So here's a couple more videos. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Thank you. And I totally messed that up, and I'm going to leave it in here because I don't know what else to say. Okay, bye.